A sanctuary where the spirit of adventure and artistic flair converge, this cozy home combines earthy tones and eclectic designs, reflecting the vibrant life of its world-traveling owner. Inside, find unique artifacts and handcrafted decor, each piece telling a story of distant lands. Decorated with lush gardens, this base game starter home is perfect for those starting their Sims journey. There's a hidden stack of cash within, awaiting discovery to fund your future upgrades. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So today we are going through my first base game starter home build that I've ever done. And I have to say that this is probably one of the least favorite builds I've ever had to do and the most stressful for so many reasons that I'll get into the video in just a second. But I have been so used to using pretty much unlimited packs, and I have done a few limited pack builds, but I'm used to being able to use whatever I want and not have a budget, especially not having a budget. A lot of my builds are extremely expensive, especially if you have tried downloading them from the gallery. I'm sure you've seen that. This was a lot of new challenges that I have not had to experience in The Sims before. So, like I like to do, I incorporate ChatGPT for a lot of my builds and to give me inspiration and ideas. And so let's go ahead and dive into kind of what set up the stage for this build. So as you can see here, I just said, I'm going to make a base game home in Sims 4 with a budget of 20,000. I need some inspo for this build. And it gave me a few different ideas. I'm not going to read through all of this for you, but I kind of like the idea of this bohemian retreat. So, embrace eclectic styles with colorful, mismatched furnishings, include a variety of textures and patterns, and add some indoor plants for a lively feel. Well, we're a little bit limited to do some of those things with it just being base game, especially on a budget. So I did the best that I could. This was more just inspiration. So typically with ChatGPT, I kind of try to follow it as closely as I can and get really into it. This build, probably not so much. I said I like the idea of number 4, give me more specs and maybe a backstory to keep in mind as I build it, because I like to have something along the lines of like picturing the sim that would live there, and that helps me decide which items to include and things like that. So imagine the home belongs to an artist or a world traveler. They've returned from their journeys with a collection of unique finds, each with a story. The home is a reflection of their adventurous spirit and creative soul, a sanctuary where every corner tells a tale of distant lands and cultures. So it gave me some specifications. So the color and texture, I was kind of shocked at some of the things it said. Like, it said warm earthy tone, fine, but it was like terracotta or a muted olive for the color, and incorporate vibrant textiles and patterns from around the world. So think Moroccan rugs, Turkish throw pillows, or Indian tapestries. Now we have some really great kits and stuff packs that would really go along with this and be a game changer, but keep in mind I could not use them. So I was really disappointed, because this would be a really fun build if I weren't so limited. But it was like selecting pieces that appear collected over time, a mix of vintage handcrafted items like carved wooden coffee table or a quirky bookshelf. Use low seating options like floor cushions or a daybed or for a relaxed vibe. I was thinking of Snowy Escape a little bit for like the low seating options for the floor. Again, can't use that. But art and decor adorn the walls with art that tells stories, maybe a canvas from a local street artist or framed photographs from the owner's travels. Includes sculptures or pottery as well. Create a cozy, inviting space, plenty of seating for guests. Kitchen should be functional yet artistic. Open shelving to display an eclectic mix of dishes and kitchenware. And then a bedroom, a peaceful retreat, comfortable bed with a colorful quilt, surrounded by unique items like a vintage lamp or a hand-woven basket. The outdoor space, if space allows, or I should say if budget allows, a small garden or balcony filled with plants, a hammock, and outdoor lights for warm ambiance. And the personal touches incorporate items like a journal on a desk, a camera, or a map with pin locations indicating the traveler's journeys. And so I just kind of asked it to do a couple more things with like how the outside look. I'm not going to go into all of this, but just earthy, natural tones and colors, and like wanting some rustic architecture. So set a small one-story house with a pitched roof could be ideal. And then materials incorporate natural elements like wood siding or stone accents. And then the front porch or entryway, create a welcoming entrance with a small porch or a distinctively styled front entry, which I kind of did, and we'll get into that in just a second. Landscaping, go for a wild natural garden look with a variety of plants, incorporate flower beds, hanging plants, and perhaps a small vegetable garden. I kind of went all out like I always do with the landscaping, so, don't have to worry about that. Outdoor living space, area and backyard for relaxation, a patio, decorative elements. Consider adding unique touches like wind chimes, a mosaic stepping stone or lanterns, fencing, a wood picket fence or simple wire fence. I will go ahead and say I did not put a fence because I just didn't have the money to do it. So I built it on this 20 by 20 lot in Windenburg. I knew I wanted it to be a small lot, because it was just going to be a one-story house and a starter home. So I was like, I don't even want to be tempted to do a house that is way too big. So I stuck with a smaller lot to build this on. And this is probably one of the smallest houses I've done in some regard. Now I have some videos forthcoming with some like tiny and micro homes, so be on the lookout for those. But up until this build, this was my smallest house. Oh, we have a friend here. Oh, we have the welcoming party. Okay, so I wanted to like let some time pass just so I could get the lighting a little bit better, but this is the outside of the house. So as you can see, I used a lot of like purples and yellows for the plants. And right off the bat, you can see I used quite a variety of plants. So like in the instructions that it wanted, I used a lot of hanging plants. I used some flower boxes, some planter boxes, you know, things like that. And then I even have some of these wheelbarrows with flowers in them. We have a neighbor coming to visit us. But I love these lavender plants. I think they're really nice for how big they are, and they take up a lot of space, but they're very pretty, and I think it kind of livens the space a good bit with this pathway that I created. I wanted to put this like really big tree in the front because I thought it kind of matched with the kind of whimsical vibes and with the lavender that I wanted to go with this. So it is a simple house, and we have the stone accents with the siding that was also kind of in the instructions a little bit with that. And as we go around to the back, I carried the flowers all the way around, have some nice ivy vines and things like that going on, but a nice little back door patio space that was also in the parameters outline. And then I actually created this archway with flowers. This is all from Debug. I actually took this little archway and just kind of put it in a spot right here that I thought was really cute, getting to the patio from the other way around if you wanted to take the path over. I took these bushes, these are also Debug bushes, and I alt placed every single one of them to put it around the archway kind of seamlessly to make it look like, you know, a trellis with flowers growing on it. And I think it turned out pretty well. And this is completely free with the Debug items, and I think it's really cute. I would just say you have to be a little bit careful to choose something that is kind of irregularly shaped, because if it's too uniform, then it kind of looks weird stacking them on top of one another. So you just have to be careful with stuff like that. So this is the front entryway. And so as you can remember, I wanted something kind of unique with the front entry and the porch. And so I thought it was really cool to put it on a diagonal and have the stairs over to the side to get up. And I think it opens up the space a pretty good bit and gives a little more dynamic look to the house than it would have otherwise. Because again, it's a very simple house. So I didn't want it to just be like a plain, you know, box. So I wanted to put a diagonal in, which can always be a little tricky in The Sims, but I think it turned out pretty well. And then once we get inside, which you can already kind of sneak peek through the windows here, I'm actually going to just show an overview, because the first thing I want to bring up here is how much this changed throughout making it. I actually live streamed building this whole house on Twitch. And so if you want to follow me on Twitch, it's Dr. Sims, just like on YouTube. I'm not very consistent with being on there right now. I'm trying to focus on like growing my community on YouTube so more people can join me when I do build over there. But I do have those if you want to watch them or put them on in the background. It took me quite a while. I have 2 parts. I ended up actually completely changing the floor plan after working on it for I don't know how long, because the kitchen was over here with the living space like in this area, if I remember correctly. And then I completely flipped everything around. It wasn't working over here, and I was like, I'm just going to move it. And so I put the kitchen over here and kind of reworked the entire floor plan several times. There are several iterations of this house, and that's why it took me so long to make it, even though it's a simple base game house. But the one thing that I really like about this is I was trying to go, again, eclectic vibes is something that was mentioned from ChatGPT. So I was trying to incorporate a lot of fun colors. So the red, yellow, and blue color scheme I carried kind of throughout this entire living space. Starting over here with the living space, if you remember, it kind of mentioned like a Moroccan rug. And I don't know, this was kind of a nice base game rug that gave me those types of vibes to it. And so I went with that, and I incorporated the blue from the rug and the red as well with the mismatched furniture, which you also remember was one of the parameters. And then also just having different types of wooden furniture. So I focused on a lot of different tones of wood because, again, mismatched furniture was part of the assignment here. And I thought it was really fun to have a lot of different vibes that could have come from around the world. And so I like having furniture that wasn't too matchy because I like the idea of this being something that was collected over time from travels or things like that. And we have little knickknacks kind of all over the place with things that I tried to do and fit in throughout the house. Just right over here, you can see that the dining space with a really fun dining table with the pattern here. One thing that I learned from this, which was really cool and unique, was that this mural design, I first of all stacked it. It's two of them on top of one another, and the blue flowers that are right here are actually on the dining table, so it's the exact same flower. So I thought that was kind of cool to figure out. I didn't know that until I was doing this build, but I thought it was a nice little vibe to match those together. The kitchen is my favorite part, and yes, I splurged on getting really expensive appliances, which could have helped the build in other rooms and aspects, even outside, but I really wanted this kind of not necessarily cottagey vibe, but keep in mind it was bohemian inspired, so I was like, I don't want anything that's too like electronic or too fancy and advanced in here, so I tried to keep it with some basics, and I think this was like kind of the vibe a little bit with the gold accents throughout and the black. And so I had a lot of fun with the vibrant red tile with like the tile on the floor, which also is red and blue colored. And then keep in mind that, you know, it said to have some open shelving, so I did open shelves. These are separate, and I just kind of overlaid them and stacked them so they fit the way that I want to. Again, keep in mind, base game only, so we can't use those really nice shelves that are like in Home Shelf Hustle and things like that that go in the corners. Why is it doing that? I don't know what this is coming from. That's kind of funny. Very weird. Sims does some weird things. If you know what this is from, let me know. And then tucked over here is just a very like simple bathroom. I went with red again, just tying the red in throughout. Nothing too fancy. Had to keep it a little bit simpler. So a nice little shower, bathtub combo, have someone out right there walking. And then once you come out here and go over into this door, this is the bedroom. There's our Sim who's very sad and angry right now. I definitely wanted to get a computer, which I know can be kind of expensive for a base game starter home and wanting to fit with the budget a little bit. And so I put that with some headphones, which seem to be clipping into the desk now. I don't know why. But one thing that I thought was really cool was, and a little efficient, was that this is the same art piece. I just purposefully clipped it in the wall so it could be an art piece on both sides for both rooms, because I didn't like how blank the wall was, but I also didn't have money to put anything there. So I was trying to be very resourceful in that. We have a pet frog, and then keep in mind, ChatGPT mentioned like liking to paint or do art. And so I put an easel in here next to a window. If you know me, like I've mentioned before, I always try to put my easels in places that are very inspiring. So I always try to make sure they have a nice view from wherever I place them, because I like to think of like landscape art or something like that. It's a very simple house overall, and so I'd love to hear what your thoughts are with this. I didn't mention it, but these are actually chairs too. So I, again, tried to be kind of resourceful with things, and now we have those nice free pillows that we got if you logged into your Sims game a few times. But I don't know if that technically would count as base game only, even though I guess it would be base game. Last but not least, I hid a pile of money, so I always like to hide an object in my builds, and I thought it was nice to put a pile of money because my thoughts were this is a starter home. So, you know, if you find the pile of money, you have more money to add more furniture, more details, and kind of fill the space a bit more. And so the house is available on the gallery. It's called the Wanderer's Retreat. And I know, don't yell at me. Don't look at this. Let's just pretend it doesn't say $22,004. First of all, I was really aggravated when I uploaded this, and like you can see my comment up here. It said I used Horse Ranch, which I didn't even have purchased at the time. I didn't have Horse Ranch. And so when you click on this and it says show used items, there's nothing there. I have no idea why it's saying I used Horse Ranch. You don't need Horse Ranch to download this house. It is truly a base game house. It could have been from debug, but that is also why it says $22,000, because I actually did this in under $20,000, but apparently some debug items still cost money, and I don't know why, but I wasn't paying attention to that, and I used so much debug in this house, I have no idea which objects were actual money. So it really was under $20,000, but then I know if you have two Sims, a starter home is $22,000, but even then I'm $4 over, so I'm very aggravated about it. I promise it was a starter home, so don't come at me. I just wanted to say that as a disclaimer. I know, trust me, I know. I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoyed this build. It was a really great challenge for me, and it's kind of embarrassing with how long it took me to build despite it being a base game starter home. But in some ways, when you're so used to your go-to objects and things, that's what made it harder for me, because I like having access to all of my packs. So anyway, let me know if you download the house and play in it. I'd love for you to tag me or something like that so I could see them. If you want to watch those Twitch VODs of me building this house, then I'll link those down below. And I'll also link down my channel. So I do have a Twitch VOD YouTube channel. Again, it's not very active right now. I plan on streaming more in the future, but it's called Dr. Sims Live Mode. So I wanted to play on, Sims. Live mode, you get it. I don't need to over explain it. Let me know if you have any ideas for future videos, and I hope to see you in the next one. Okay, bye. What are some things that you all find very difficult with doing base game starter homes? I'd love to hear your frustrations and what makes it so difficult for you.